and welcome to Celtic Roots Radio, coming to you today from Downpatrick, Northern Ireland. Celtic, folk rock, Appalachian, bluegrass, Scottish, Irish, Breton, Cajun. If it's Celtic or roots music you like, you'll find it here on Celtic Roots Radio.
On the 17th of August, my mind being elevated, there were multitudes assembled with their tickets at the station. My eyes began to dazzle as I'm off to see the races with me. What folded to folded in the idle passengers from Limerick, and passengers from Siena, and passengers from Dublin, and men from Tipperary. There were passengers from Kerry and all quarters of our nation. Our member Mr. Hursford to see the Galway blazes with me. What folded to folded in the idle. There were multitudes from Barreiro and the members of the New Kishore, and boys from Connemara, the Clare and Mary maidens. There were people from Cork City who were loyal, true and faithful. They brought Athenian prisoners from David's foreign nations with me. What folded to folded in the idle. With sugar sticks and dainties, the lozenges and oranges, the lemonade and raisins, the gingerbread and spices to accommodate the ladies, and they could eat with rubbers to be taken while you're able with me. What folded to folded in the idle. It's there you see the gamblers, the dimbles and the garters, the spelling wheel of fortune with the 4 and 20 quarters. There was others without scruple, Celtic waffles out for Maggie, and her father's well contented as he's looking at his daughter with me. And the fiddlers competing, the nimble-footed dancers, the tripping are the daisies. There is others ride cigars and lights and bills for all the races, the colours of the jockeys and the prize and horses ages with me. What folded to folded in the idle.
Well, what about you? Is keeping okay? Welcome to the 76th Celtic Roots Radio Show. I'm Raymond McCullough in the town of Downpatrick, County Down.
a wee taste of Celtic and roots music, and a bit of the crack as well. We started the show with Galway Races from a band called Ockham's Razor in Michigan, USA, from their album Wolves in the Walls. Well, it's been a while, but we're still number one on the Podomatic folk charts, with almost 30,000 downloads and plays between our last two shows. And we've now had a total of 50 reviews on Apple Podcasts in 14 different countries, and 49 of those were 5 stars, so maybe we're doing something right, eh? All of our previous podcast shows are now available on YouTube, so if you prefer, you can subscribe and get future shows from there. And we've just recently started enhancing our old shows and putting them up on YouTube. Same music and crack, but with more photos and links to the artists and bands. Just go to the new TV page at CelticRootsRadio.com for all the links. A few of you have been contacting us via our Facebook page. Christine Hill-Smith from New Mexico, USA says, Celtic Roots Radio, great stuff. Fred Burris, also in USA I think, says, awesome, I've been missing them. Scott Gordon from Oregon, USA writes, thank you for new episode. Hope springs eternal for further uploads. Think I detect a note of sarcasm there. Gwendolyn and Kathinka in the Netherlands write, we are two established Dutch solo folk artists and friends who teamed up to record an EP containing beloved Irish traditional songs as well as beautiful medieval ballads. It would be amazing to hear our music on Celtic Roots Radio. Well, look out for our next show with the traditional Irish song from Gwendolyn and Kathinka. Danny McKernan says, hey there, I'm listening here in central Brittany. Love the show. So if you're enjoying the show, please share it on Facebook, Twitter, or now on YouTube, or you can email me directly, Raymond at CelticRootsRadio.com. We're listening to a collection of tunes called Reel 97, The Tinker's Frolic, and Light Horse Reel from Mick O'Brien, Emer Mayock, and Aoife na Bhriain in Ireland, from an album called Tunes from the Goodman Manuscripts.
On April 3rd, he wrote this verse, 20 years older now. On the day we die, at the last goodbye, love is the only word. He said, hey son, why don't you relax? That voice is only in your head. But before I go, one thing you should know is you've had a friend. 'Cause I believe in the Lord, I believe in the dirt beneath my floor. I believe a day will come when I realize I've already won. 'Cause I've seen heaven and hell, oh the stories I could tell. It's September 1st, and she's holding out her words, asking for a second chance. As I read the text, everything makes sense. This is what I have learned. She said, hey son, why don't you relax? That voice is only in your head. But before I go, one thing you should know is you've had a friend. 'Cause I believe in the Lord, I believe in the dirt beneath my floor. I believe a day will come when I realize I've already won. 'Cause I've seen heaven and hell, oh the stories I could tell. I believe in the dirt beneath my floor. I believe a day will come when I realize I've already won. 'Cause I believe in the Lord, I believe in the dirt beneath my floor. I believe a day will come when I realize I've already won. 'Cause I've seen heaven and hell, oh the stories I could tell. The stories I could tell.
That was the Lulabelles from Illinois, USA, and the title track from their album Stories. A couple of weeks ago I got a phone call from an old friend and now retired chef who used to host a regular radio show 2 afternoons a week on our local Down FM 105 station. Unfortunately, the local college who hosted the station ran out of funding and the station closed down several months ago. The Big G was calling to let me know the people involved had done some fundraising and were relaunching the station from the former BBC Sound Studio in the St Patrick's Centre, inviting me along to the launch. I was intrigued because the station had previously showed some interest in broadcasting this show on their station. Unfortunately, nothing had come of this in the past, probably my own fault for not pushing it a bit. But my friend had again mentioned my show and the new organisers seemed keen to include it. If you're listening to this on FM 105, then you'll know this time I was successful. As part of their fundraising, they'd had a draw for a brand new Sheeran by Lowden acoustic guitar, with the winner being selected live on Facebook at the launch. I actually got to play that Sheeran guitar. In case you're not familiar with this instrument, it's produced by our major local employer, the George Lowden Guitar Factory, which is now based just a couple of miles from my house. I've known George Lowden since the 70s, when we were free and single, sharing a house in Bangor, and George worked as a manufacturer's agent for a clothing company. When a new clothing range was introduced, we got our pick from the now obsolete range, so in those days I always had some trendy gear to wear. And we're listening to Willos from Will o' the Wisp, a Celtic band from Siena, Italy, from their album From Now On. This is a tune called Chickens on the Run.
it doesn't end up with a bowl of cherries and roses. Sometimes it doesn't feel like love really shows us. I know that dealing with heartache is always gonna be rough. I know that words are never enough. That's when it's always wrong.
That was Hip Culture from Canada and a song called Let It Go. Well, George decided one day that he would give up the clothing business, become a luthier and make high quality acoustic guitars. We had a large room at the rear of our rented house and I helped George to make his first workbench. Later, when he and Flo were married, I completed the building work on his house in Grimsport, County Down. Needless to say, the rest is history. Lowden Guitars have gone from strength to strength and have become a household name in the music business. Although a Sheeran guitar is machine-built and relatively inexpensive, the actual George Lowden guitars are hand-built from start to finish and cost considerably more. Thankfully, I was able to do a deal with George way back then in payment for some of that building work. The guitars were then being made under license by a company in Japan. But later production moved to Newton Ards, County Down, and then to a growing collection of small business units outside Downpatrick. Outgrowing this, and with the Ed Sheeran connection requiring a great increase in production and personnel, the factory moved to new premises near Crossgar, a few miles from Downpatrick. I happened to call in on the day that George and his team were testing out the expensive new CNC equipment on a new Sheeran guitar. The result was quite impressive. George's latest claim to fame is the recent portrait of him, painted by celebrated local artist Colin Davidson, known for his paintings of such celebrities as Liam Neeson, the aforementioned Ed Sheeran, local singer Duke Special, and international figures such as the late Queen Elizabeth II and former US President Bill Clinton. It seems that after 50 years of guitar making, George has now joined the ranks of the rich and famous, though he still speaks to me. And we've been listening to an authentic Galician whistle tune from Efraim Diaz, in Spain of course. Muiñeira de Piadela is Sarasate, from the album Pito Gallego. Muiñeira, by the way, is the Galician equivalent of an Irish jig, and Pito Gallego is the Galician flute. We've been listening to the Ebony Hillbillies, yep, an all-black bluegrass band from New York City, no less, with the song Bound to Go from their album What Your Name Is. And we're going to finish off with Siena Maria Ukraina, the Ukrainian National Anthem, performed on the bagpipes by an unknown street performer. Take it easy now, Slant.
Well, that's all we have time for on this show. Remember, you can find out more information about the artists and songs played on the show on our website at CelticRootsRadio.com. And if you're an independent artist and you'd like to hear your music played on this show, again, you'll find details on our website. That's CelticRootsRadio.com. Tune in again next week to Celtic Roots Radio. I'm Raymond McCullough, coming to you from Ireland. Slán agus Banna Dia.